What if the rusted-out car no one believed in was the only one built to win? And what if the girl behind the wheel was done asking for permission? The Redwood County Fairgrounds baked under a relentless California sun, dust swirling in the air as the local racing track thrummed with anticipation. Engines snarled, vendors hollered over the din, and camera crews darted through the chaos, capturing every angle of the underground event that had Redwood buzzing. The Redwood Street Race Challenge. Flashy supercars gleamed like jewels. Corvettes, BMWs, and custom Dodge Challengers, their paint jobs screaming Wells sponsorships and privilege. The paddock was a showcase of money and ambition, each car a rolling billboard for its driver status. But parked among these polished beasts was an outlier, a 1967 Ford Mustang, its faded blue paint chipped and peeling, rust crawling along the fenders, front grille missing, and plain steel wheels that looked scavenged from a junkyard. It was a relic, a defiant middle finger to the high-tech machines around it, and it drew snickers from the crowd. Behind its wheel stood Lena Carter, 19, her dark ponytail threaded through a faded baseball cap, hands stained with grease. No racing suit, no sponsor patches, just worn jeans, a mechanic's shirt with Lena stitched in red, and a fire in her hazel eyes that could outburn the sun. Her father, Roy Carter, a small-town mechanic with calloused hands and a heart as steady as his wrench, stood beside her, wiping sweat from his brow. "You sure about this, Lena?" he asked, his voice low, almost drowned by the revving engines. "These kids, they got everything. Money, tech, pit crews." Lena's lips curled into a determined smile. "They've got cash, Dad. We got something they can't buy." She patted the Mustang's hood, her touch reverent. For 6 months, they'd poured their souls into this car, scavenging parts from scrapyards, rebuilding it bolt by bolt in their cramped garage under flickering fluorescent lights. It wasn't pretty, but beneath that rusty hood-roared AV8 engine Lena had tuned to perfection. Every wire, every piston. She knew it like her own pulse. As Lena rolled the Mustang into the inspection zone, heads turned, not in awe but in mockery. A racer in a fire-red Corvette, his helmet tucked under his arm, nudged his buddy. "Check it out. Did someone drag that thing out of a ditch?" Laughter rippled through the paddock. Another driver, lounging against a neon-green Dodge Challenger with a custom flame job, called out, "She's driving her dad's rust bucket? Hope it makes it to the start line." Lena didn't flinch. She met their gazes, calm and unshaken, her jaw set. Their taunts slid off her like water off wax. She'd heard worse. Girls weren't supposed to race, let alone win. And a mechanic's daughter from Redwood? To them, she was invisible. The race organizer, a grizzled man in mirrored sunglasses named Hank, gave the Mustang a skeptical once-over. "Miss Carter, you sure this thing's safe?" "Solid as steel, sir," Lena replied, her voice steady, eyes locked on his. "I built every inch of it." Hank raised an eyebrow, scribbled on his clipboard, and waved her through with a grunt. Lena parked in the paddock, surrounded by carbon fiber machines that looked like they'd rolled off a Hollywood set. Her Mustang stuck out like a sore thumb, and she loved it. It was honest, raw, real just like her. From the stands, whispers spread like wildfire through the sunburned crowd. "That's Roy Carter's kid? She's not serious, right?" Total joke entry. Lena climbed onto the Mustang's hood, sitting cross-legged with a bottle of water, watching the other racers obsess over tire pressure and gear ratios. She'd already checked her car twice, her hands and brain her only pit crew. The Redwood track wasn't just asphalt to her. It was a puzzle she'd solved months ago, walking its curves at dawn, memorizing its cambers, visualizing every turn. Across the track, a clique of teenage racers huddled, pointing her way. "That Mustang shouldn't even be here," sneered Chase Drayton, last year's winner and the son of a local dealership tycoon. His silver BMW M4 gleamed like a mirror, polished to perfection. "It's an embarrassment to the event." "Does she even know what torque vectoring is?" jeered Kenzie, a fierce driver in a green Camaro, her ponytail as sharp as her attitude. The group erupted in laughter, their voices carrying across the paddock. Lena closed her eyes, tuning them out. She thought of late nights in the garage, her dad's steady voice guiding her through spark plug gapping, timing belt alignment, carburetor tuning. She remembered the moment the Mustang's engine roared to life for the first time, a junkyard corpse reborn under her hands. She remembered her dad's quiet pride, the way he'd said, "This car's like you, Lena, tougher than it looks." They didn't know her story, but they would. The announcer's voice boomed over the speakers, cutting through the noise. "Ladies and gentlemen, racers, prepare your vehicles. Qualifiers begin in 15 minutes. Lena slid off the hood and into the driver's seat. The Mustang's interior was Spartan. Stripped for weight, no AC, no stereo, just a roll cage, a steering wheel, and raw purpose. Roy tapped the roof gently, his eyes soft but fierce. "Be safe, kid. Whatever happens, I'm proud of you." She looked up, her gaze steady. "I got this, Dad." The Mustang rolled into line, its deep rumble drowned by the high-pitched whines of modern machines. Lena glanced at the dashboard. RPM steady, oil pressure good, engine temp perfect. She gripped the wheel, knuckles whitening. This wasn't about revenge or ego. It was about proving something to them, to her father, to herself. Let them laugh. When the flag dropped, her Mustang would scream her truth. The green flag slashed through the air and a symphony of engines erupted, shaking the fairgrounds to its core. The crowd surged to its feet, cheering as high-end cars leapt forward like predators unleashed. Lena's Mustang lagged for a split second, its tires squealing on the hot asphalt. A few spectators snickered. "Told you that junker would choke." But then the V8 roared, deep and primal, and the car surged forward, its rusty frame blurring into a blue streak. First lap, Lena played it smart. She didn't need to lead. Not yet. She needed to read the track, feel its pulse, learn its secrets. The leaders, Chase in his BMW, Kenzie in her Camaro, and a hotshot from L.A. named Jackson in a tuned Audi R8, tore ahead, their cars hugging the curves like they were on rails. Lena hung back in ninth place, her eyes scanning their lines, spotting their flaws. They were racing each other, fighting for glory, not the track. Big mistake. By the second lap, Lena let the Mustang breathe. She pushed harder, using a homemade traction system she'd rigged from salvaged parts to grip the tighter turns. She passed two cars cleanly, a tricked-out Subaru and a Mustang Mach-1. No drama, just precision. Seventh place. Roy stood at the edge of the stands, arms crossed, his face unreadable but his eyes locked on the blue blur of his daughter's car. In the crowd, a few locals started to murmur. "Is that Lena Carter? No way, Roy's kid?" Third lap, Lena saw her opening. A hairpin turn loomed, and the pack ahead bunched up, fighting for position. She dove inside, her tires kissing the edge of the track, the Mustang's rear end sliding just enough to make the crowd gasp. She shot past two more cars, a Porsche 911 and a Nissan GTR. Fifth place. The stands buzzed. Who's in that Mustang? Wait, is that the girl from earlier? Even Chase, still leading, glanced in his rearview mirror as Lena's Mustang overtook Jackson's Audi like he was standing still. Fourth place. The Mustang wasn't just fast, it was smart. Lena had studied this track for months, walking its curves at dawn, memorizing its cambers, visualizing every turn. While the others battled for bragging rights, Lena raced the road itself. By lap 4, she was behind only Kenzie and Chase. Her breathing was steady, her focus razor-sharp. A wide arc approached, a turn most drivers took too tight, bleeding speed. Lena eased left, letting the rear tires grip longer, and rocketed out of the corner like a bullet. She passed Kenzie on the straightaway, third place, then second. The crowd was on its feet, roaring not for the rich kids in their shiny cars, but for the girl in the scrap-built Mustang. Now only Chase Drayton stood between her and the finish line. Chase's pulse hammered. He wasn't laughing anymore. "What the hell?" he muttered, flooring his BMW. It responded with raw power, its turbocharged engine screaming. But this wasn't about horsepower. It was about nerve. Lena's Mustang was a living thing, responding to her every touch, every shift, every breath. Last lap, a risky S-turn loomed, followed by a long straight to the finish. Most racers lost time in the curves, braking too early or sliding wide. Not Lena. She braked late, downshifted with surgical precision, and let the Mustang drift just enough through the S-turn. Her rear tires kissed the dirt, kicking up a cloud of dust, but she caught it, muscles tense, heart steady. The crowd held its breath. When the straight opened up, she slammed the gas. The Mustang screamed, its engine singing a song of grit and redemption. Lena pulled alongside Chase. He glanced over, eyes wide, seeing that rusty hood, that determined face, the girl he'd mocked hours ago. She edged ahead, inch by inch, the finish line rushing toward them. The checkered flag waved, and Lena's Mustang crossed first. Silence gripped the fairground for a heartbeat. Then chaos. The crowd exploded, leaping from their seats, some spilling their drinks, others waving homemade signs that read, "Go, Lena!" Roy stood frozen, a tear tracing his weathered cheek. He didn't wipe it away, his pride too big for that. Lena parked the Mustang and stepped out, helmet in hand, sweat plastering her hair to her forehead. Reporters swarmed her, cameras flashing, microphones thrust in her face. "Lena Carter, where'd you come from? How'd you build that car? Are you really a mechanic's daughter?" She wiped her brow, her smile humble but fierce. "That car's got heart, same as me. We built it together, me and my dad." Chase approached, his arrogance gone, his face flushed. "That was unreal," he said, offering a hand. "You beat us fair and square." Lena shook it, her gaze steady. "I wasn't racing you. I was racing what everyone thought I couldn't do." A man in a dark suit pushed through the crowd, Mr. Grayson, the event's lead sponsor, his graying hair catching the sunlight. "We've seen a lot of races here," he said, his voice carrying authority. "But rarely someone who builds and drives like you. Lena, we're offering you a full sponsorship with Grayson Motorsports. Training, engineering school, a shot at the pro circuit." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Lena's heart skipped. "Me?" Grayson nodded, a rare smile breaking through. "You earned it." Roy stepped forward, placing a hand on her shoulder, his voice thick. "You did it, kid." Lena looked at the cheering crowd, then at the Mustang, its rust scars gleaming like battle wounds. They called it junk. She called it home. Today, it proved everyone wrong. And so did she. As dusk painted the fairgrounds in shades of gold, the chaos faded. Engines were loaded onto trailers, and the crowd drifted away, still buzzing with Lena's name. She sat alone on the Mustang's hood, her hands still trembling from adrenaline, the rust cool against her palms. The victory felt surreal, like a dream she hadn't dared to dream. Footsteps crunched on the gravel. Mr. Grayson approached, his sharp suit out of place in the dusty paddock. He leaned against the Mustang, studying it like a work of art. "You know," he said, "I've seen a lot of cars win races, but I've never seen someone drive like they're one with a machine. You weren't just racing, you were telling a story." Lena smiled, quiet but fierce. "I didn't have money for fancy parts, just skill and heart." "That's worth more than horsepower," Grayson replied. He handed her a folder, its leather cover embossed with the Grayson Motorsports logo. Inside was an official offer, full sponsorship, a spot in their national development program, engineering mentorship, travel, and a stipend to attend Stanford's automotive engineering program, a dream she'd felt out of reach for years. Lena's breath caught. "This is real." "Real as that Mustang," Grayson said. "You start next month if you accept. And one more thing." He gestured to the Mustang. "We want you to keep racing her. She's part of your story." Roy approached, wiping grease-stained hands with a rag, his eyes shining with quiet pride. He'd stayed back, letting Lena have her moment. "Whatever you choose, kiddo, I'm proud. But if you do this, you give everything, you hear?" She nodded, emotion swelling. "I will, Dad. For us." 6 months later, Lena stood in a state-of-the-art garage in Nevada, the headquarters of Grayson Motorsports. She wore a custom racing suit now, her name embroidered in silver thread, but she still wrenched on her Mustang herself, her tools laid out like a painter's brushes. The car had been tuned to pro-level specs, its blue paint touched up but still raw, rust patches left as a badge of honor. Her pit crew, a mix of grizzled veterans and eager rookies, respected her hands-on approach. She wasn't just a driver, She was a builder. A voice crackled from the team's comms. "All right, Lena, let's see what you can do on the pro circuit." She climbed into the Mustang's cockpit, the familiar scent of oil and leather grounding her. As the engine fired up, she thought back to Redwood. Chase's smirk, Kenzie's taunts, the crowd's laughter, the heat on her back, the grease on her palms. They all knew her name now. Lena launched off the line, the Mustang carving the test track like a scalpel. Her trainers watched, jaws dropping as she shaved seconds off every lap. Her instincts honed by years in her dad's garage. She wasn't just fast. She was surgical, reading the track like a book she'd written herself. Back in Redwood, Lena's story dominated local news. Mechanic's daughter shocks racing world, from rust to triumph. Bars replayed her Redwood win on big screens. Kids wore Lena's Mustang t-shirts, and Carter Auto Shop became a pilgrimage site. Customers lined up for oil changes just to shake Roy's hand. "You're her dad, right? Can I get a photo?" Roy would chuckle, wiping grease from his palms. "Sure, but she's the real deal, not me." Above his tool bench hung a framed photo of Lena at the Redwood finish line, arms raised, the checker flag waving, the Mustang scarred but proud. Chase Drayton, now humbled, went on a local talk show. "She earned it every bit," he said, his voice earnest. "We were wrong. I was wrong. Lena's the real thing." Kenzie posted on social media. Thought she'd crash and burn. She didn't just make it. She redefined the game. Respect, Lena. Even Jackson, the L.A. hotshot, sent her a handwritten note. "You made us all look like amateurs. Keep burning rubber." A year later, Lena stood at the starting line of the Pacific Grand Prix, a national stage where legends were forged. Her Mustang, now a symbol of grit and glory, sat ready, its engine purring like a lion. Her helmet gleamed with Grayson's logo, but her eyes burned with the same fire that had carried her through Redwood. She was surrounded by pros, drivers with million-dollar sponsors, decades of experience, and she didn't blink. The paddock was a carnival of noise and color. Fans waved signs reading Lena's Mustang Queen, and kids wore replica caps with her initials. Reporters swarmed her pit, cameras rolling. "Lena Carter, you're the youngest rookie in the Grand Prix. How's it feel to race among legends?" "I'm not here to feel," she said, voice steady, a spark of steel in her tone. "I'm here to win. Any message for your fans?" She paused, her gaze drifting to every kid who'd ever been overlooked, every dreamer told they didn't belong. "Yeah," she said, leaning into the mic, "don't let anyone tell you what you can't do. Build what they said you was junk. Drive it. Pass them M. Prove them wrong." The crowd roared, their cheers shaking the stands. Roy's mom, watching from a VIP box with Grayson, wiped a tear, his eye, his pride a quiet inferno. Beside him, her mom, Clara Carter, who'd worked double shifts at the diner to buy Lena's first toolbox. Squeeze his hand. "That's our girl." The green flag dropped, and Lena shot forward. The Mustang leapt, leaping like it had wings. The track was a beast. Tight corners, brutal straights, and a field of drivers who'd eat rookies for breakfast. But Lena wasn't just a rookie. She was a force. She weaved through the pack, her Mustang dancing between a Ferrari and a McLaren, her homemade traction system giving her an edge on the curves. Lap after lap, she climbed the ranks, the crowd chanting her name. "Lena, Lena." In the final lap, it was Lena against Marco Valdez, a 3-time champion in a Porsche 911 Turbo. He was a legend, his car a masterpiece, but Lena's Mustang was her soul. They battled through the S-turns neck and neck, the finish line looming. Marco leaned in, tried to intimidate, but Lena held her line, her heart steady. She braked late, drifted perfect, and hit the straight with everything she got. The Mustang screamed, its rusty heart singing. Lena crossed the finish line, a nose ahead of Marco. The stands erupted, a tidal wave of sound. Fans rushed the barriers, waving flags, screaming her name. Roy and Claire embraced, tears streaming. Grayson stood, clapping slow and proud. "Lena Carter," the announcer boomed, from Redwood, California, wins the Pacific Grand Prix in a rookie upset for the ages. Lena parked, stepped out, and pulled off her helmet, her hair tumbling free. The crowd chanted her name as she climbed onto the Mustang's hood, raising a fist. Cameras flashed, capturing the girl who turned Rust into legend. Marco approached, offering a handshake. "You're something else, Carter," he said, grinning. "This sport's yours now." She nodded, respect mutual. "Thanks for the fight." Months later, Lena stood in her Stanford dorm room, a blueprint of the Mustang pinned to the wall beside her engineering textbooks. Her phone buzzed with messages, fan letters, sponsor offers, even a call from a Netflix producer pitching a docuseries. Lena Carter, the Rust racer. She smiled but stayed focused. Fame was nice. Building was better. Back in Redwood, Carter Auto Shop had a wait list stretching into next year. Roy hired 2 more mechanics, but he still worked the Mustang himself, now a museum piece displayed on weekends. Kids from across the state visited, touching its fenders, dreaming of their own tracks. Roy started a scholarship fund in Lena's name, helping young girls and underprivileged kids learn to wrench and race. Lena returned to Redwood for the next Redwood Street Race Challenge, not to compete, but to mentor. She launched the Lena Carter Legacy Program, teaching local teens to build their own cars from scrapyards. Chase and Kenzie signed up, eager to learn. "You changed everything," Chase told her, his BMW traded for a Project Camaro. Lena just grinned. Build it right, then race it hard. At the Grand Prix Award ceremony, Lena stood on the global stage, accepting the Rookie of the Year trophy. The crowd gave a standing ovation as she took the mic. "This is for Redwood," she said, her voice clear. "For my dad, who taught me to fix what's broken. For my mom, who taught me to fight. And for every kid out there told they can't. You can. Build your Mustang. Whatever it looks like it is. Drive it. Win." As she stepped off the stage, a young girl in the crowd held up a sign. "Lena, I'm building my own car." Lena knelt down, signing her cap. "Keep going," she said. "I'll see you on the track." Lena Carter didn't just race. She built a movement, and her Mustang, once a joke, now a legend, roared on in every dreamer who dared to prove them wrong.